it should have been said.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, go ahead, sir.
Our argument is simple. The affirmative has double-turned themselves because they've defined themselves and their politics as fundamentally oppositional. They are opposed to the state, to traditional debate, to liberal norms contained within the state, and debate to complicity with whiteness. Our issue is that this opposition comes in a context that they are unwilling to examine, that is always already tied up within those very same complicities that they attempt to escape. Specifically, this resistance comes in the context of a debate tournament. Debate tournaments exist because of problematic liberal values and of democratic communicative exchange. The universities we attend exist largely because of the contributions of either the problematic liberal state or problematic aristocrats. The norms of speech times, of listening to your opponent, of speaker awards and entry fees, and the ballot itself are all tied up in ethically compromised institutions of liberalism, whiteness, and state funding. The very fact that you as a judge are here listening to this debate is because of liberal norms of procedural fairness and equality that cause you to have an obligation to judge debates in order to enter teams. The fact that we cannot interrupt the affirmative, that they may defend themselves and speak their part and will get the last word, are all based upon oftentimes problematic and exclusive liberal ideas of justice and fairness. The point of our criticism is that the affirmative chooses to ignore this circumscribed context and instead say, we are separate, we are different, we are not complicit, and you can be morally pure too if you vote for us. To substitute good feeling for good understanding. This is a politically disastrous position. The affirmatives are akin to armchair academic anarchists who shout smash the state from the comfort of universities while receiving university funding that comes from federal stipends. There are a couple of reasons to vote negative. First, it is a performative contradiction. It demonstrates that debate isn't just about, there are speeches demonstrate that debate should not just be about risk and calculus, about normative styles of argumentation. It's about evaluating the affirmative's performance or whether their speeches were authentic, etc. But their answers to questions about topical plans demonstrate that they think that one has to perform in absolute opposition to lack of complicity with violent or problematic institutions. They say that the difference between their subject position and others is that they attempt to escape complicity and whiteness altogether, but this calls that very fact into question. If using the state requires a complicity with whiteness because the state has historically been tied up within white institutions, then participation in debate also requires the very same complicity with these structures, which means that they necessarily link. Debates over agency, the role of the ballot debate, etc. are products of the institutions of the app, is a part of, not alternatives to them. White men and 12. We are asked to imagine a subject so this was to enter the committee of the rules. Run a red light, until candy, kill a bird, refuse to word, just change your pronouns. So they are not equivalent, but suggest that the debates over agency of little if we take seriously the idea that if precisely because we are inside of ideology that we can know anything about it. It is from within the field of what is most instruction and how to best abide by the rules, and no practitioner becomes legitimate without acquiring or fluency in the skills that these amount to lessons in the value forms and completion of comedy critical practice, only distracted by the anxious tones of critical dissension or the high drama that ensues in field encounters with university administration. So actions do not undermine the field of imaginary generated and sustained by providing the occasion to defend the critical authority that it hounds. All find that their authority and also the public influence and all of it to take on their objection in the public political spheres. If evidence of the political value of social movements are no less disciplinary than active fields of study in the process, and we are prone to considering them ourselves outside of disciplinary altogether. It is not because we are unaware of the rules. Practitioners find belief in the belief that the value of critical practice is its political value, and that the political agency the field generates is ultimately the critic's own. I'm going to do a little bit of work on why I think that they necessarily link to this argument. First, they say at some point in the 2AC that the law can't help you because it's created to deceive. If this is the case and their descriptions of the debate community are accurate, it should be equally deceptive to engage with the debate. Debate should not be able to help you in that case, and it should be even more deceptive to believe that somehow a ballot or winning, etc. Would be sufficient to solve. They'll try to characterize their advocacy as not engaging within the claims that they change debate or overarching norms, etc. However, there are a couple of portions of the money scene that I think necessarily bind them to this. They say that a revolution is coming and that it is time to turn the tables, which implies that they are somehow escaping from within the institutions that they are within. They say that they are trendsetters, that they're dropping big teams, and this somehow is creating some sort of radical change or a change in the tone of conversation. They said in the crossix of the money scene that they brush up against teams like Harvard, Georgetown, Northwestern, etc., and that necessarily changes those institutions, which means that they link to the vast majority of the stuff that I said about universities earlier. They say that they're talking about rooms, which I read as you got to bring purpose to what we're doing, and what we're doing. The distinction they made across between imagination and actualization. However, there's no part of what they're doing that is somehow an actualization of the standards that they've set for themselves, which means that they do not link to this. That the sort of policy they promote creates a feeling among all other participants that they've somehow done something to resolve racism, but does not actually do so, which is an external impact. Like when 12 to be interior has been a source of shame, anger, guilt, identification, coalescence, to an investment to change the hegemonic self-representation of the U.S. culture. The new Americanism cannot live a day without the figure of culture consistent to find what it is not the transformation of any field or affected by much more the critical or political intention. New Americanism is built like a critique of founding fathers and its related routinely employed as a refusal to be domesticated by ideological fictions and state initiatives with committee or insisted Americanists must resist in relation to the ideology apparatus he hears about his project the new Americanism market and Americanism. I also think that they did not adequately answer the visibility component of the 1C. The Phelan evidence indicates that the idea that increasing prominence within representational institutions will somehow lead to black liberation or greater political agency for these persons is empirically self-defeating because it results in co-optation and external agencies mapping them onto this. This links to the portions directly clashes with the portions of the app that say that by somehow their presence within this debate disrupts the normative codes. This is an impact turn to that argument which they've not really responded to now. Their main response on, I think, on this case debate is that it's impossible for them to say that for them to engage within the government because they can't say that it will somehow lead to change, but it is the idea that change must happen all at once and be a complete break that we are critiquing. The next argument was that we deconstruct normative systems in debate, which is the link. They say that they characterize our argument as saying that they should not fight back. Not at all. We do think that you should fight back, but what we are trying to say is that the forum, and the method with which they are trying to fight back is one that is counterproductive and actually plays into the hands of the system. The impact uniqueness debate may seem incredibly relevant, and it's obviously very germane that this is an ongoing form of violence in the school, but it does not undermine the veracity of our arguments that they actively forward these systems of privilege and make it much worse. The exhibitionary nature and existing commodification of pop culture, rap, hip hop, etc. I do not think are really relevant because that is not the form or the meat of our argument. It's rather the way that their speeches within debate commodify their own personal agency in a way that is uniquely developed.
Crawford indicates that thinking about institutions.
Yeah, Crawford evidence indicates that thinking about institutions supports the framework argument and the idea that directly clashes with the idea that you can't have state action without.